In January 2021, Chelsea sacked Frank Lampard with the club sitting ninth in the Premier League, seemingly drifting further from the top four with every passing week. Within his first press conference, new head coach Thomas Tuchel was already talking about identity. He inherited a squad assembled for over £200 million the previous summer, yet one that looked disjointed, low on confidence, and short on defensive structure. 5 months later, that same group of players lifted the Champions League trophy in Porto. The transformation hinged on one decision Tuchel made almost immediately: abandoning Lampard's back four for a back three. Chelsea's problems under Lampard weren't about individual quality. Edouard Mendy was a capable goalkeeper, Thiago Silva brought elite experience, and N'Golo Kante remained one of the best midfielders in the world. But the team lacked a coherent defensive shape, conceding avoidable goals through disorganized pressing and exposed fullbacks. Tuchel's first instinct was structural rather than personnel-based. He moved to a 3-4-2-1, a system he'd used successfully at Borussia Dortmund and Paris Saint-Germain, built around control through numbers at the back and fluidity further forward.
The back three itself was the foundation. Thiago Silva anchored the middle, reading danger and organizing the line with the kind of composure Chelsea had been missing. Antonio Rudiger, previously marginalized under Lampard, was rehabilitated as an aggressive, front-footed defender, comfortable stepping into midfield to win the ball early. Cesar Azpilicueta, on the right of the three, offered tactical intelligence and positional discipline built over nearly a decade at the club. Crucially, three centre-backs meant Chelsea always had a spare man in defense, allowing wing-backs to push high without leaving gaps behind them. Those wing-backs were the system's attacking engine. Reece James on the right and Ben Chilwell on the left provided width and end product that a back four system couldn't accommodate without sacrificing defensive cover. Tuchel didn't ask them to be conventional fullbacks tracking wingers up and down the touchline. Instead, they became auxiliary attackers, overlapping or cutting inside depending on the shape of the opposition, much the way Marcos Alonso and Victor Moses had operated under Antonio Conte's title-winning back three 5 years earlier.
In midfield, N'Golo Kante and Jorginho formed a double pivot that balanced defensive coverage with progressive passing. Kante's ability to cover ground and disrupt opposition attacks meant Chelsea could press aggressively higher up the pitch without leaving the back three exposed. Jorginho's passing range allowed Chelsea to build patiently through midfield when the press was beaten, rather than relying on long balls forward. Ahead of them, Tuchel deployed two attacking midfielders, most often Mason Mount and Kai Havertz, who drifted between the lines and interchanged positions to drag opposition defenders out of shape. "We have to be aggressive, brave, and have a clear structure," Tuchel said shortly after his arrival, and that structure showed almost immediately. Chelsea kept clean sheets in 11 of his first 13 matches in charge, a defensive record that gave the team the platform to compete on every front. The system's biggest test came in the Champions League semi-final against Real Madrid, where Chelsea's compact shape and disciplined pressing nullified a Madrid side built to exploit space in transition. Timo Werner and Christian Pulisic combined for the decisive goal in the first leg, a move built on exactly the kind of quick interchange Tuchel had drilled into his front players.
The final against Manchester City in Porto validated the entire approach. Pep Guardiola, facing a back three of his own creation years earlier at Barcelona, chose to start without a recognized defensive midfielder, hoping to overload Chelsea in central areas. Tuchel's structure absorbed the pressure. Chelsea's back three dealt with City's fluid front line, while Kante shut down space between the lines that City relied on to progress the ball. Kai Havertz scored the only goal of the game, latching onto a through ball from Mason Mount after City's high defensive line was caught out by the pace of Chelsea's front three. It was a goal built entirely on the spatial principles the system was designed around. What made Tuchel's back three so effective wasn't novelty. Kante had already shown a back three could win Chelsea a Premier League title, and Guardiola himself had experimented with variations of it throughout his career. The difference was fit. Tuchel inherited a squad with center-backs suited to a back three, wing-backs capable of providing width without full defensive responsibility, and a double pivot balanced enough to cover for an aggressive press. Rather than forcing his players to adapt to an unfamiliar system,
Tuchel built a structure around what his personnel could already do well, then refined the details through relentless organization on the training ground.
The irony, of course, is that the system which delivered Chelsea's second Champions League title didn't save Tuchel's job. Just 7 months into the following season, with results dipping and his relationship with the club's new ownership under strain, Chelsea sacked him too. The back three that turned a ninth-placed side into European champions in 5 months became, in hindsight, less a foundation for a new era than a brilliant, brief alignment of system and squad. Tuchel got the structure right at exactly the moment his players needed it. Chelsea have been searching for that alignment ever since.